Good evening, this is the Owl. I just wanted to take a moment and show you guys this axe. It's the Collins Boyz Axe. It's like a 2¼ pound head, and it's got like a 22 or 24-inch handle, and it's a Boyz Axe, so it's a smaller axe head, kind of a standard generic American shaped axe head. It's got a little bit of a rhino tip to it, which I like, especially for like kindling and chopping and stuff. And then it's American hickory, so the axe head is made in Mexico, which is just about an hour south of here. And the hickory's American. And it's kind of hard to see, but there's a lot of grain in there. There's like 16. It's got oil on it. Anyway, there's a lot of grain in there. All right, so my guess is that this is like grade C hickory, maybe grade B. I carefully counted all the grains, and I was pretty careful about it. It's hard to see in the camera here, but it's got 24 grains. They're not really showing up very well here. From left to right, across this thickness, I counted 24. And the grain is a little bit wavy. You know, I would say that it's like noticeably wavy, but it's not circuitous, you know. So here's the thing. This is an Ace hardware axe. It's like 27 or 33 bucks or something. There's a lot of other axes out there, but this is actually a pretty decent, cheap grab and go option close to home. I didn't want to freaking use Amazon or order something from China. I don't like paying China nothing. So the trick with this axe is it is like entry level quality, you know. I mean, I give it like C plus, B minus, right? The axe head is quite asymmetrical. I mean, well, it's not quite asymmetrical, but if you look at it carefully, you can see it's got some asymmetry to it. And that kind of affected the grind. So when you go to put a grind on it, the side of the axe, it's got a slope to it. See that? And so when you go to put the grind on it, it's gonna freaking just be a little bit weird. So here's the trick. This is what I'll tell you about this axe. The head is just a little bit heavier than a hatchet head. So a hatchet head's like 1.25 pounds, right? And this is 2.25. So it's still a pretty decent kindling axe, especially if you're splitting like half logs. You know, like 8-inch. You're splitting like 8-inch half logs. This is pretty decent. And another thing is it's a Boyz Axe, so it's designed for, like a young teenager's hands. Yeah, I thought it was kind of cute. They call it Boyz Axe. Let's get it focused here. Come on. There we go. I thought it was cute they call it Boyz Axe, because it could be a girl's axe too. I got a 2-year-old daughter. Maybe this will be her axe someday. So, I mean, you can just see the grain a lot better with the naked eye, dude, for sure. But so this is what you do with this axe, is you get it and sand down the head. Just get some like 120 grit sandpaper, some 80 grit sandpaper, sand down the head. Just smooth it all down, because it's just going to be really rough when you first get it. You put a little bit of a chamfer around the edges, around the back. This, you could work on the head all day long. You can make it a mirror shine, which I actually recommend, because it's going to split a lot better that way. But and then I'm just using the rag method. I put a fresh bevel on it. This axe head comes with kind of a blunt nose, and so I put a fresh bevel on it, and it's a much steeper bevel, somewhere around 22. And so another thing about axe use is that you never want to use a tool for more than it's designed for. This is kind of like a glorified kindling axe, and on occasion you could use it for going at some heavier stuff, like maybe 8-inch stuff, 4, 6, 8 inches. And primarily because the handle is like definitely significantly less beefy than what you would see on a full size. So what else can I tell you? You're gonna get a grind on it, and then sand it all down. And one interesting thing you can do is just take a sharp blade, like the vertical edge of a sharp blade, or slightly angled over, and you can use the blade as a scraper. Take one of your old pocket knives, use your blade as a scraper, and scrape all of the varnish or whatever it is off the handle, and you'll know it's off, because you won't see that gloss anymore. It'll be like a satiny or a flat wood color, and you'll be able to feel it in your hand too. Like when you get down to the wood, you can feel the wood. Your skin is going to recognize the wood. And I think I took like a half an hour and scraped down the handle, scraped it down really good, meticulously. I went over it once and I went over it again. And just be careful not to remove, any wood. It's not too hard. And then I took some 120 grit and just with light pressure, went over the handle a bunch, just to smooth it all out. And did some work on the top here, just to kind of clean that up a little bit, so you can see the grain. There's the grain. There's a lot of them in there. I counted 24 of them. But across the midsection there's at least 16 or 17. And it's the same down at the base too. The grain twists around a little bit down here. It kind of takes a turn. Where is it? I don't know. Yeah. See that? How it takes a turn like that? Yeah, that's a little bit weird. But and there's a layer, you can see the topography of the wood here. So there's a little bit of a shoulder there that's not really very useful. But in reality, the real diameter of the handle's right there. That's a skinny, it's a thick walled axe head. It's pretty thick, dude. And it's a skinny hole, So that's my other comment about this axe is they could keep the profile, the general shape, but they could narrow down those walls a lot. They could make the hole much bigger. Just keep the same dimensions or the same shape, but just add like another 16th all the way around, dude. That would make this another 16th all the way around. Hickory, USA hickory, that make this significantly stronger. Because if you go do your research, you'll find these things snap off right there. Almost always. And that's the other thing, is I'm really curious if they have chamfered or angled that inner edge there. Because if that's sharp steel, that's going to transfer into the wood. So what I've decided with this axe is it's just kind of like a lightweight camp axe. It's longer, so if I need to take a good whack at something someday, I will. But the other thing is that, I'm pretty much just going to use it for chopping half rounds or, like 6-8 inch type stuff. The other thing is, axes are not sticks that we swing. That's not at all. There's a very specific technique used. There's a lot of different techniques used with an axe, but chopping is a patient and thoughtful process. You can't swing this. It's just kind of like a samurai sword or anything else. You can't just go out and start swinging it and think you know what you're doing. So if you know how to use an axe, if you studied, axemanship, and you've got this properly beveled and sharp, and you've got the handle soaked really well, you got a good soak on the handle with boiled linseed oil, then I think it's going to work. It'll work a long time. But I wouldn't treat it like an adult axe. And the other thing is that out of the box or from the store, it's not ready to use. I honestly do not, I do not think any axe should be used if it hasn't been properly tuned and the handle hasn't been properly soaked in boiled linseed oil. Now, the thing about the oil is the oil keeps soaking into it all the way to the center of the axe. And the oil ends up becoming containerized inside all the different compartments in the wood tissue of the axe. And then it waxes up, it thickens. And what happens is the character of the handle changes with temperature. So the oil helps the handle make adjustments in cold weather and warm weather. The other thing it does is it is a liquid. It's a thickened liquid. And so the shock from the head, gets buffered immediately by that oil. That's why I have this upside down like this, and it's just soaking. Because I want oil to swell this wood all the way through. All the way through. That's the other thing to know about boiled linseed oil is it will swell the wood. Unlike water, it doesn't evaporate. It's not, it doesn't evaporate. Well, it will. Over the course of about, 10 or 20 years, if you leave it sitting in a corner, the wood will eventually shrink. But if you regularly treat your tool handles with linseed oil, they will always be a lot stronger than if they were dry. And that's because the oil integrates with all of the bonding in the wood tissue, and it helps to consolidate the handle, and it dramatically reduces the shear forces and the braking forces inside the cells of the wood. So do I recommend this? Yeah, it's kind of hard to find a decent axe that people have, you know, have left some reviews on that, is made in North America. I think that's safe to say, made in North America. I would get it, and I would just use it as, you know, a very lightweight axe, and just go light with it. Like anytime I was chopping with this today, I was considerate. I was just considerate. If you want something that you can just swing around and beat around and it's not going to fail on you, go get one of those, you know, high tech polyfiber freaking axes, Fisker X99 or whatever it's called. And you can slam that on the concrete all day long if you want. But if you're looking for something to do, like legitimate and careful cutting, you want to enjoy some kindling making, or you want to go out and take some limbs down, or maybe you want to do some carving, or some camp construction project or something. This will work. This will work pretty good. You can choke up on it. You can swing it a little bit like a hatchet. I would say a man could swing this like a hatchet, and it's neat because it's light, and the handle gives you a lot of options. You can use it up close. You can use it far away. So yeah. So I'll just give you guys a report on this, like a little bit later, and it's soaking right now, so I'm not gonna mess with it. But after I get all cleaned up and stuff, I'll give you a report. This is a tool. It's a working tool. And yeah, so go do your research, man. You could buy, a Scandinavian axe, or you could buy a North American axe and just do a little bit of tuning. Get that handle properly soaked and do a little bit of tuning with it. It'll be fine, especially if you respect the tool. All right, cool. This is the Owl signing off. Check you next time.